host, DJ Fairley. Today is Friday. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to have a new type of the show up. For instance, Mondays are going to be called Snack Mondays, where I'll actually bake or make or cook or craft foods that you can have for snacks. On Wednesdays, I will make baked goods. And on Fridays, like today, it'll be called Dinnerbone Fridays, where I'll make actual meals. Today, we're making ramen. Now, before we get started, ramen is kind of a weird thing to make. Usually people use packages of ramen like this, but this is Chinese ramen. We're making Japanese ramen. What I'm showing you how to do is how to make homemade ramen with fresh ingredients and make it into the soup. Now let's get our beanies on and let's get started. Now, what we do first is we get 1 cup of flour. Now, 1 cup of flour, half a tablespoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of water and 1 egg equals 1 portion of the meal. But because we're using a large pot today, as this, we need to make 2 portions of the ramen. So what we need to do is use 2 portions of the flour. So let me get our trusty knife, our handy dandy knife, and scrape off our flour and dump it in. Let's get our second one. Scrape off the flour and dump it in. Do 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 do. This sucked. That was really terrible. Now what we need to do is that we need to add our salt. So let's get 1 teaspoon. Tablespoon will make it taste salty. 1 teaspoon of salt. So be very careful. And now we mix it all in. Next, we want to get our egg and water. So what we do now is we make a well in the actual bowl. If you guys don't know this, a well is a small portion of the inside where there's a hole in there. Think of it as a wishing well. No, actually, don't think of it as a wishing well. It's a terrible idea. It will ruin your childhood. Wishes do not come true, everybody. Anyway, so we will take both of our eggs and we'll put them inside the well. The non-wishing well. Sorry, non-wishing well. The yolk wasn't good enough on that one. And then we get 2 tablespoons of water. So let me just wipe my hands off here and get our 2 tablespoons of water. And at this point in time, what we need to do is we need to get an egg beater to beat the eggs, which of course I am so well prepared, I have to go into my kitchen to get some. To be honest, you should have everything together because this is kind of going to get a little messy. Let's begin beating the eggs. Anyway, after we've beaten the eggs enough, not too hard, it's kind of rude, we slowly mix the ingredients together. So slowly.
Don't beat the eggs too slow. It's not working. It's like weird.
I am beating eggs. I'm making some dough. I'm making fresh ramen. Yeah, dude. Konnichiwa. I'm DJ Spoon. Did you know that dough is misspelled in donut? Oh my god, that's insane! Welcome back. Once the dough is somewhat combined, you have to take it and just dump it on your counter. Like, seriously, you gotta dump this like it's a landfill here. Hope you have a clean counter, fellas! And then you start putting it together and you start kneading it. Oh my god, I'm in a volcano! You want to put this in a damp paper towel, damp towel for 30 minutes in the summer or up to 2 hours in the winter, because it depends on the humidity. cutting up your ingredients. So you have 1 cup of spinach, 1 cup of peas, a package of seaweed, jar of caviar, it's optional, soy sauce, chicken broth or chicken stock. To be honest, if you want a traditional Japanese meal, you want to use fish stock, which is a fish broth. It does not taste like fish, but it actually makes it taste a lot better. You also want soybean paste, which is called miso. I don't have miso on me right now, so I'm going to have to try to fix everything once I get done. And then carrots, and then fried noodle things. So what you want to do is you want to mince those. You know carrots are good for your eyesight?
Ah! I can see better.
Now what we do, once the dough is finally rested, we take some flour and we just dump it on the counter. Yes, we dump it on the counter and we spread it around. What we do is we mash it around and knead it. Then we grab a rolling pin and we just roll it out as much as we can. Now what we do is we take some flour and dust it on the top, and we fold it once. Take some more flour, and then we fold it twice. Now don't be too liberal with the flour. You're going to need a lot of flour for this. Now what we do is we take a good knife, a good sharp knife like this. I call this my ninja knife. I sharpened this to the point that I can easily cut sushi. And sushi is really hard to work with, so you need something that can cut it delicately. It could be a block knife, those I would suggest, but because this is sharp enough and it doesn't have as much rough edges, I'm going to use this right now. Now what you do is you play around with the actual pieces. Make sure that they're all unwound. Make sure that they get a better shape because they're like rectangular now. Just continue playing with it for like 30 minutes. Actually, sorry, 10, maybe 5 minutes. Now I like my noodles thick, like udon noodles. So I always have my noodles like really, really thick. You can have yours as thin as you want. It's usually easy. It takes a little longer to make udon noodles. You take your pot, alright, and you need 1 quart of chicken broth or fish stock or whatever you use. I would prefer the dashi, which is fish stock, but I didn't have access to it, so I'm using this substitute of chicken stock or chicken broth. Now, what you want to do when you're in the wild, you want to drink that piss. Now you want to add a little bit of soy sauce, just a small amount, gives it that color. And you want to add, if it use a quart, you need to have half of the actual chicken broth. So because a quart is 4 cups, you need 2 cups of water in here. So let me get that situated. Now we get this on the pot, on the stove. At this point, you want to put this on boil and let it sit until it starts boiling. When this starts boiling, you want to add your carrots, your spinach, your peas, and you want to stir it with a chopstick or a spoon. I prefer a chopstick. Now, you want to let this sit for a little bit for maybe around, give or take 5-10 minutes, and then come back to it after you put it low on simmer. And then, yeah. Now what you want to do is open it back up and stir with your chopstick or spoon, whatever you're using. And then you want to add 2, maybe 3 or 4 small pieces of seaweed and just add them on top. 5, 6, depends. Seaweed lasts. And you want to take your chopstick or spoon and push them down to the bottom, or fold them up. Now, you do this until you get almost the whole package pressed down, or it fills the top of your bowl. You want a little bit more soy sauce, not as much, and you want to stir a little bit more with your chopsticks, your chopstick or your straw. And then, my personal favorite, I add a little caviar. Pardon me for a sec. Now once you're ready, turn it back up to a high heat. And then you want to add your noodles together that you played around with for a little bit. Now what you want to do is put a little bit of noodles at a time. Just drizzle them in. Just drizzle them in. You want to make sure the flour stays on them, because that prevents them from sticking. So you just drizzle them in. And you take your chopstick or spoon and twirl them around. And you take a little salt and you put a little dash in there. Not too much, just a little bit. And you stir and you keep looking at this. I keep looking at this. Eye it up to however you like your noodles cooked for 3 minutes for al dente. Hello everybody, this is the noodles. It didn't come out quite right because the noodles, I put a little too much flour in the noodles and I didn't moisten them up enough. I'm sorry about that, but this recipe actually works. Now, if you want a taste test, I'll use my fork to scoop up a little al dente ramen, homemade ramen here. Still, the ramen tastes really good. Now, if you try this recipe, I'll put the actual recipe in the description below, and hopefully it works better for you than me. I'll give you the actual recipe because I did not have the soybean paste, so everything came out really weird. So, thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe. And also, if you want to hear more witty, seriously, witty criticisms from me on Twitter, which is like here, right here, like ba-ba-ba-bam. Please like me on Twitter and follow me on Twitter. See, on Mondays, I'm planning on making something that is like just a snack. It's going to be easy. On Wednesdays, I'm thinking about making pastry dishes like baked goods. And it might not be that easy to make, or it might be superior to the rest of the other ones. I don't know why I said superior. Anyway, so it will be delicious. And on Fridays are Dinnerbone Fridays, which I will be making food, like actual dinner food or lunch food. It depends on how I feel, depends on how lazy I am, depends on school. No, cut that out, please. Anyway, so Monday I have a really good dish for you guys. It's something I make all the time, and I make it so much that it's like near foolproof for me. It's going to taste delicious. It does taste delicious. I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, if you like this video, like me, subscribe, follow my Twitter, ba-ba-bam, here it is again. And come back for more. Beanies off, everyone. Let's cook it.